Try to keep it coming. Things ain't always smooth. Oh, wait. But I'll be alright as long as I can find the groove. Yes, I will. Yeah. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. All right. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. Yes, I will. I'm just happy to see you talk to me back in style again.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me. Back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, two conversations. Up first, the chair of Africana Studies at Brown University, Noliwe Rooks, on her provocative new text, Integrated: How American Schools Failed Black Children. I think the title just about says it all. I look forward to that conversation on the top of hour two. On the B side of hour two,
Just like a prayer, your voice can take me there. Just like a muse to me, you are a mystery. Just like a dream, you are not what you seem. Just like a prayer, no choice, your voice can take me there. I'll take me there. It's like a dream to me. Just like a prayer, I'll take me there.
she is the famed big voice behind Madonna, but she is a multi-talented jazz chanteuse in her own right. Nikki Harris joins us live in studio on the backside of hour two. In our third hour today,
How do I know y'all a singing group? Why don't y'all sing something?
I got nothing but love for you, baby. Got nothing but love for you, baby. I got nothing but love for you, baby. Got nothing but love for you, baby. I got nothing but love for you, baby. Got nothing but
it's a classic scene, right? You know it. You know exactly what it is. A career conversation with veteran actor, director, and producer Harry Lennox. So much to talk about with Harry Lennox. We will certainly discuss his current role on Broadway in the new play Purpose, directed by the two-time Tony Award winner Felicia Rashad. Harry Lennox today in our third and final hour. But in this first hour, let's talk politics with the sister who was the CEO of the 2008 and 2016 Democratic National Conventions, Leah Daughtry. Now, Bishop Leah Daughtry. I want to start our conversation with Leah, though, with this. This is a clip from another well-known Democrat, the Ragin' Cajun, James Carville, who, as you know, got Bill Clinton elected to president. It's the economy, stupid. Remember that? That's Carville's line. It's the economy, stupid. It still is the economy, stupid. I digress on that for now. Okay, for all of my progressive listeners, and I consider myself, as you well know, unapologetically progressive. For all of my progressive listeners, I need you to really, really pay close attention to this clip I'm about to play for you. This is James Carville, who has a message for you.
And so how does the progressive urban identity left live in the same universe as the pragmatic governing left of center people? Most of them happen to be elected officials. And maybe the answer is we can't. All right, I'm suggesting that maybe after I saw what happened on April 7th with American Voices, after, in my opinion, which was just devastating and to somewhat humiliating defeat, and particularly unnecessary defeat that we had. And in my view, I'm certainly open to have, people can call me back. I'd be glad to interview you. That your wildly naive and impractical worldview is not consistent with electoral majorities. So maybe we need to have a schism. Maybe you got plenty different, the Justice Party, the Working Families Party, the Socialist Party. The only thing I'd ask is just don't use the word Democratic in any title that you have.
Your wildly naive and impractical worldview is not consistent with electoral majorities, you progressives. So get out. Leave the Democratic Party. And whatever you do, when you rename yourselves, don't put the word Democrat in your title. Your wildly naive, impractical views no longer have a place in the Democratic Party. Get out! That's James Carville. We come forward, we talk to Leah Daughtry. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening.
Charitable listening.
It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text SKINNY to 323232 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text SKINNY to 323232 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SKINNY to 323232. That's SKINNY to 323232. SKINNY to 323232.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hi, I'm Dominique DePrima, and it's almost time to celebrate KBLA's 4th anniversary, coming up Juneteenth 2025. We'll be marking the achievement with 4 key community events, including a special symposium, luncheon, and brain trust hosted by me entitled The State of Black Women in Los Angeles. Keep it locked here for details on how to join us for this groundbreaking symposium examining the unique challenges, triumphs, and contributions of Black women in Los Angeles in the areas of education, healthcare, community leadership, cultural and political contributions. This public convocation will provide a critical forum to address the specific social, economic, and political realities facing Black women in LA today. We'll go live with a radio broadcast and YouTube live stream, a public discussion, and a private dialogue. with some of LA's most impactful women. It's an affirmation of Black women standing at the intersection of race and gender in times of adversity while demonstrating remarkable resilience and leadership. We will listen and we will speak out and be heard, all in service of finding opportunities and solutions. Please plan to join us in celebrating our 4th anniversary by amplifying the voices of Black women. For more on our symposium and 4 events celebrating 4 years on the air, simply stay tuned or keep an eye on KBLA1580.com and help make this Juneteenth more jubilant with all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Made fresh daily in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Leah Daughtry, the CEO of the 2008 and 2016 Democratic National Conventions. Okay, before I get to Leah and cut her loose for the rest of the hour on that, so James Carville's comments and David Hogg, the vice chair of the DNC, is organizing young Democrats to run against old Democrats and save seats. There's a lot of drama inside the Democratic Party these days. But Miles, give me that James Carville clip one more again.
Your wildly naive and practical worldview is not consistent with electoral majorities. So maybe we need to have a schism. Maybe you got plenty different, the Justice Party, the Working Families Party, the Socialist Party. The only thing I'd ask is just don't use the word Democratic in any title that you have.
Wow. Leah Daughtry, good to have you back on this program. How are you today, for starters?
I'm doing okay, my brother. How are you?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate, but I was not happy with James Carville. This is precisely the kind of bloodletting that Democrats do in ways that I can't even describe. This is not something new. Obviously, the Democratic Party is far more, let me rephrase that, far less homogenous than the Republican Party, no question about that. But what's your read on James Carville's invitation for progressives essentially to get out?
Oh, James. Well, first, let's just level set. The last presidential campaign that James was involved with was 1992. Mm-hmm. And he's been trying to maintain relevance ever since. I'll just start there.
Right.
But I think, this gets down to the definition of what's a Democrat. Mm-hmm. And who gets to decide what a Democrat is and is not. And I would submit it's not James Carville. Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is, when you look at the arc of the Democratic Party, Democrats haven't won white folks since LBJ. Let me say that again. The Democratic Party in presidential primaries and presidential general elections have not won the white vote since 1964. So the way that they have won the presidency is through a minority of white people and the overwhelming majority of black and brown people.
Preach.
What happened this past cycle
Preach.
is that there were diminishing returns on black and brown people, although just by a point or two. And that was the difference in us winning or losing this past presidential cycle. Now, what is true is that it has flipped. We used to win white working class voters and white college graduates would vote Republican. That's flipped. But we still losing white people. Even when it was the other way around, we were still losing white people. So the question for the party has to answer is, which side is your bread buttered on? And have a real conversation with the facts, which would indicate that what you ought to do while you are attempting to persuade and mobilize these white folk that we ain't won since 1965, you ought to double down on the communities who have been responsible for the victories over these last 50 years. Which are the Black community and the Latino community, and the continued failure to invest in those communities and to deliver for those communities will continue to get you the losses that we've seen.
I was laughing internally, Leah, when I said preach, preach. I forgot she is a bishop. She can do that. So I better be careful encouraging her to preach. But she gonna do it anyway because that's just who she is. It's part of it. She's part of a grand legacy. Her dear father was on this program literally just a month or so ago. So we are delighted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had him on. We were talking about what were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about Ireland, and we were talking about the relationship between the black struggle here domestically and the struggle inside of Ireland. And your father, as you well know, traveled to Ireland, and so we were talking about Frederick Douglass and his trip there, many, many years ago, of course, and your father's trip there, 30, 40 years ago himself. So he was on this program not long ago. So I'm delighted to have you on this program again. Lee is part of a grand legacy, grand tradition. With the
other thing I'd say, Tavis, on the Carville front,
Yeah.
is that what is it that progressives are looking for that are so out of step with the central values of the Democratic Party? What do we want? We want fair wages. We want to be treated fairly. We want the opportunity for economic advancement. We want the playing field to be level. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah. And yet,
inside the Democratic Party. And so to set up this narrative and this contest as though we are opposed to different things. No, we're not homogenous. If we were, we'd be the Republican Party.
That's right.
We have a lot of folk with a lot of different opinions. But the way he's phrasing that is that there is something wrong with what the progressive part of the party really wants and is fighting for. And I would contend those are simply American values.
I wouldn't argue that at all. But here's what I sense with James, and frankly, whatever you think of what James had to say, including you don't think much of it, neither do I, and I like James. Known him for years, as have you. A nice guy. I just think he's wrong about this. But here's the point. Yep. I think what James is expressing, Leah, is a sentiment that others hold as well. They may not be as bold about it publicly as James is in that particular clip. But here's what I think people are feeling inside the Democratic Party, certainly some people, that it is these progressives that are costing them these victories. That's what James basically said. If you want victories, we cannot have a progressive base or a progressive wing of this party, not base, but wing of this party that keeps pulling us to the left. You'll recall during the Clinton era, what did we have? The DLC, the Democratic Leadership Council Conference. That was Clinton, and I like Bill Clinton. I love Hillary. They're both friends, and friends of mine, friends of yours. I got nothing against them in this regard. But they did, in fact, Clinton, certainly as president, moved in a more centrist, a more moderate way. There's no debate about that. The data is incontrovertible. And there are things that he did then he's apologized for, like the crime bill, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if he's apologized for the welfare bill, but many called it the welfare deform bill, not the welfare reform bill. So clearly, Clinton was more centrist, more moderate. He moved to the center and outdid Newt Gingrich in a variety of ways, strategically, that is. So I think what James is expressing is that this wing of the Democratic Party keeps pulling it to the left or wanting to pull it to the left. There's no success. There's no evidence of any success really pulling this party to the left. Bernie tried. AOC is trying. There's no real evidence of that. But I think what they're tired of feeling this inertia, especially with Bernie and AOC out on this fight oligarchy tour with thousands, tens of thousands of folks turning up. That's what James is looking at. He's looking at this pull to the left as if that is the way for Democrats to be victorious. James doesn't see it that way, so he invites us to get out. That's what I think he's feeling, and I don't think he's the only one feeling that inside Democratic Party circles. That's my read. What's your read?
I think there's something to be said. The problem with having a big tent party where everybody fits is that you got everybody with an opinion, and everybody thinks that their way is the right way. Nothing ever gets won like that. Everybody's got to compromise. If, in fact, we are trying to win elections, we have to make room inside the tent for a diversity of opinion, and we're not all going to line up with everything about everything, and that's okay. It's when we begin to demonize each other, demonize other points of view, that then you could have these great riffs about who's a centrist and who's a moderate. Look, and I dare say, if we got right down to it, what the definitions are, if we could ever even settle on what the definitions are, most of us are a little bit of everything. We're conservative about some things, we're moderate about some things, we're progressive about some things, depends on the issue. And why can't we make room for that, as opposed to saying, you don't agree with me on this one thing, and so therefore you the devil? that doesn't work for anybody. It doesn't work for anything, and it doesn't work to win elections. And so I think his rhetoric and the way that he's saying this really alienates people, and alienates the kind of people who are showing up for the Bernie Sanders at AOC rallies.
Right.
Thousands and thousands of people who I would bet haven't been to a rally ever are showing up. So are you saying that they should leave the party and they shouldn't be part of what the party is, or are they the party?
That's the question right there.
The party that
That's
Carville and they need to make room for, and need to accept that perhaps their view is not the majority view inside of the party.
It's a powerful question. I love it. Are they the party? That is the question. But here again, back to Carville's point, and I'm just playing devil's advocate for a second here. Again, not that I agree with James, but if they are the party, that's James's point. That you can't win elections in this country right about now. His view is if that is the party, y'all ain't gonna win nothing. That's his point, Leah.
Well, and here's where the party has to invest.
Right.
We don't know that because a lot of these folks haven't. I always said, Tavis, in the last election, we weren't necessarily running against Trump. We were running against the couch. And getting people to believe that they could make a difference.
That's right.
That their vote mattered. Now, I would love to see a Venn diagram of the people showing up for these rallies who, one, either were duped by Trump, or two, didn't even vote. And can the party invest in a voter education mobilization strategy that helps people to understand their civic responsibility, why their vote matters, and that their vote can make a difference if they exercise? Look what happened in Louisiana just a few weeks ago when they had those 4 constitutional amendments up. Those were, every last one of them were defeated, and in a first, Black folks outvoted white folks in that election. People who hadn't voted before were energized by what is happening in the country and decided that they wanted to express their opinions through their vote. It can change things, but you have to that part of the party, my experience has been, often sits on the couch.
Yeah. So let me just try this one more again with James. A more sinister read, and again, I'm not suggesting James is saying this, but a more sinister read of what James did in fact say is that we can't win elections, to your analysis, Leah, if we can't pick up white voters. And we've not won the white vote in a presidential race, to your brilliant point, since LBJ. So if we want to win and win consistently, we need to pull those white voters back. And so long as you progressives, you people of color, are pulling us to the left, we can't get the good white folk, which raises the question, since you offer that brilliant analysis, what it is that Democrats can do to win back those white voters that they ain't won since 64 without pushing the Negroes and the brown folk out the party.
Well, and that's the question. And that's the analysis, because since 1964, let's see, we had Carter, Clinton, Obama, and Biden, all with us losing the white vote. So how did we win those? So part of this, Tavis, is there has to be a reckoning with the truth and with the facts. And a lot of these folks like Carville and some others don't look at the facts and don't see. They looking, but they not seeing. And so they don't want to accept the fact that we ain't won white folks in 50 years. So if we've won the presidency 4 times without white people, without winning the white vote, then how did we win? And what is the likelihood that in 4 years, we're going to all of a sudden do what hasn't been done in 50 plus years, which is win the white vote? That's not likely. So if you're a betting person, what odds are you going to take? I would say, if this has been the trend for 50 years, that's not what I'm betting on. Let me go with the strategy that says, let me double down in the communities that will vote for us if we give them a reason to vote and give them a reason to not be on the couch or have something else to do on election day. That's the smart thing. I mean, it's not even rocket science.
I got 90 seconds here. We'll continue, of course, when we come forward. I'm glad I've got Bishop Leah Daughtry for the hour. But let me, in 90 seconds, so how dangerous is it? How concerned are you, though, when, I guess I can call James at this point a party elder, I don't know, but when party elders start talking this way publicly Not this wasn't. I mean, I wouldn't have had the clip if he had done this in his closet somewhere. He did this publicly. How concerned are you in 60 Seconds when party elders start talking this way publicly, Leah?
Well, I don't know if I call James a party elder, but it's problematic because it forces us to talk about this,
right?
And it puts it out into the atmosphere in a way that is frankly unhelpful and not encouraging to the people in our party that we want and need to vote.
Yeah, I only say elder because he's a bit more chronologically gifted now than he was.
But again, he hadn't done the campaign since '92.
I take your point. That's why I love Bishop Leah Daughtry. More with her when we come forward. I want to get to this David Hogg story. We raised this yesterday because it was news yesterday. It's still news today, and becoming more news or bigger news. This unprecedented move where he wants his outside group to start challenging, start primarying Democrats in safe seats, that key phrase, safe seats, because he thinks there are, again, too many of those party elders, too many of those chronologically gifted folk who are in the way and need to make room for some younger voices. We'll talk about that with Leah Daughtry when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Black New York Attorney General Letitia James is accused of mortgage fraud by the Federal Housing Finance Agency. The White House referred the case to the DOJ, but no charges have been filed yet. James previously won a civil fraud trial against President Trump. Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve, expects inflation to rise and economic growth to slow due to tariffs. Speaking in Chicago, he said the Fed might face a tough situation balancing inflation control and economic growth, requiring careful interest rate decisions. 10 guards at Mid-State Correctional Facility in Marcy, New York, are charged in the beating death of 22-year-old black inmate Messiah Nansui. 2 face second-degree murder, and 8 others face related charges. And the Trump administration is asking the IRS to revoke Harvard University's tax-exempt status after the school refused to comply with political demands despite no proof of violations. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
You're going to want to sit down for this. The jumbo breakfast platter from Jack in the Box. No, seriously, it's so munch food. There's French toast sticks, grilled sausage patty, hash brown, and scrambled eggs, all for just $4.99. Get all this and so much more at Jack in the Box.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There was an Anthony Davis sighting last night in the NBA playoffs. Davis had 27 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 block shots to lead the Dallas Mavericks to a 120-109 win at Sacramento. Last night was only the 9th game AD has played with the Mavericks since he was traded by the Lakers for Luka Doncic on February 2nd. The win eliminated Sacramento from the play-in round. Dallas plays at Memphis Friday night for the 8th and final seed in the Western Conference playoffs. A judge in Los Angeles approved a restraining order for former Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald. Donald requested the order in an attempt to keep a woman from harassing him and his family. The 10-time Pro Bowler said the woman threatened his 3-year-old son in a Google chat message. Donald, who retired in 2023, also claims the woman has sent gifts, packages, and messages to his house. Sounds like something out of a movie. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk Radio. that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
After producing an award-winning climate justice campaign in 2024, KBLA Talk 1580 has gone all in on its 2025 Climate Justice plus Black Health Initiative. April is Minority Health Month, and Urban Family Focus, in partnership with Providence Health Systems, presents The Heart of the Matter. Providence doctors and health equity officers will participate in informative and life-changing conversations on hypertension, health equity, behavioral health, and community engagement. Don't miss these empowering conversations on Urban Family Focus every Saturday in April at 7 and Sunday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sponsored by Providence, Southern California's largest and most comprehensive health care network. We've got a lot to talk about on KBLA Talk 1580. Download the KBLA 1580 app or log in to KBLA1580.com. I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. On KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Aye, monster on the beat, Debo, any rap. He a freak throw, man down, call her Amber Lambs, tell him breathe, bro. Nella new to the cross, he walk around like Tizo. What's up with these jabroni air? Trying to see Compton, they industry can hate me. Marlon, they mama, how many options you really got? I mean, it's too many options. I'm finna pass on this body, I'm John Stockton. Beat your and hide the Bible if God watching. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show. Certified boogeyman.
I don't know if James Carville's ever heard of Kendrick. He surely must have, because he lives in New Orleans. He and his wife, Mary Madeline. I've been to their home a few times over the years. He lives in NOLA, and Kendrick turned it out in NOLA at the big game this year, the Super Bowl. So surely he's heard of Kendrick, and that's essentially what James Carville is saying. Y'all not like us. Y'all progressives, those progressives, they not like us. And he's invited us to leave the Democratic Party and form a party of our own, so long as we don't put the word Democrat in the title. But that's James Carville's theme song today, I guess. They not like us, and y'all progressives should get out and go do your own thing. What's fascinating about this Leah Daughtry, I guess, is the bishop now, Leah Daughtry, former CEO of the 2008 and 2016 Democratic National Convention, so she knows this stuff as well as anybody. A stalwart, long-time, legendary Democrat is Leah Daughtry. Delighted to have her on this program in this first hour. What's fascinating, Leah, I've been watching these numbers, and donors have been opening their wallets to progressives in this first quarter. Bernie Sanders, $11.5 million raised in the first quarter of this year. AOC, $9.6 million raised during the first quarter. A record-breaking haul for AOC, and one of the strongest quarterly fundraising hauls ever for a member of the House. $9.6 million. She's in a safe seat that she won by 40%. In the last election, and she still raised $9.6 million in the first quarter. As I mentioned, Bernie, $11.5. So donors are opening their wallets to these progressives. Never mind what Carville says. How do you read that, Leah Daughtry?
It's interesting. I mean, and it really is a gauge of the interest people have in change and in investing where they think they can get change. So hats off to them.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. As I think Senator Sanders has said, he's not running again for the Senate.
Yep.
He's not likely to run for president. I think at
his age,
as
yeah.
he looks toward his age and family and retirement and all of that. So will be interesting to see what happens with his war chest
Yeah.
that he's building. Same thing with AOC. There's been some chatter about her challenging Chuck Schumer.
Hmm.
Some people are saying she's going to run for president. We'll see. Certainly has a bright future in front of her, and she's captured the imagination and the attention of so many. So we'll see what's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. So that's James Carville. Speaking of turmoil inside the Democratic Party, that's Carville. Let me move now to David Hogg, Vice Chair of the DNC at the age of 25 years of age. But he has made some news this week, Leah, as you well know, suggesting that in safe seats, some of these Democrats ought to be challenged, making way for younger voices. Again, not necessarily the kind of narrative that the DNC wants out there, but how are you reading it as one who has chaired these Democratic conventions in the past?
It's if I put on my party hat, it really is unprecedented that you have a Democratic Party official, which is what he now is,
Yep.
challenging incumbent seat holders, because it's really an article of faith that the DNC is sort of an arbiter of fights, right?
Mhm.
They're the referee in a lot of these things. And for that reason, the DNC never gets involved in primaries.
Mm-hmm.
In congressional races and senatorial races, it's like let the voters decide who they want to choose, and then we will support who the voters decide to choose. So it's really unprecedented for a DNC officer to make this kind of step and this kind of statement that he's going to be engaged in who is even going to be primary.
Mm-hmm.
It's not been done before, so I'm waiting. I think like a lot of DNC members to see what's going to happen next, because this certainly not just for this cycle, but the ability of officers to weigh into primaries has interesting implications when it comes to the presidential season.
Yep. All right, so that's our conversation in this hour about the Democrats. Let me move now to the other side. There is another side, of course, and we have allowed Leah to have her say, and I've had my say about the Democratic Party. Now to the Republicans, specifically the one who sits in the White House at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And I specifically want. I heard you go, ugh. I heard that, Leah. I heard that in my headphones. Ugh. We got to go there though, and here's why I want to go there, because, and I'm laughing, but this ain't no joking matter. Donald Trump said in a recent executive order, and I quote, "Museums in our nation's capital should be places where individuals go to learn, not to be subjected to ideological indoctrination or divisive narratives that distort our shared history," close quote. That was him taking aim at the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and the head of that institution has already left the building, as Leah and I and all of you know. He's already left the building, but Donald Trump has set his sights on the National African American History Museum. What say you about that, Leah Daughtry?
It's really nonsensical. Even his own statement that they don't want to support institutions that distort our shared history. Well, you can't talk about our shared history without talking about 400 years of enslaved people. How is that divisive? The facts are the facts are the facts. 2 + 2 is going to always equal 4. I don't care what language it's in.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that somehow sharing the facts is a distortion of our history is problematic just on its face. I don't understand. And the interesting thing to me about all this has been, what about the other museums?
Mm-hmm.
What about the Museum of the American Indian? What about the Women's History Museum? So is it just the Blacksonian, as we call it? Or are we talking about all? And then if you're talking about the entire institution, so we going to send the pandas back now because they came from China? I don't understand what his point is. And it really is an attempt, as we have seen through MAGA lens, of revising history so that we are not talking about anything that does not vaunt and lift white society and white culture as the best, the brightest, the only. And it's just, it doesn't make any sense. So I think we all are watching what's happening with the Smithsonian, particularly with the African American Museum. Lonnie Bunch is still the secretary of the Smithsonian. They just had a board meeting, a meeting of the Board of Regents, I think last week. No actions were taken, at least none that made the news. And so we'll see. Now, if you look at the Smithsonian Board of Regents, a lot of them are folks who have been longtime supporters of facts in history. And so, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yes, the vice president always has a seat on the Board of Regents, and he's tasked J.D. Vance with doing some things. We'll see what's going to happen because the Board of Regents ultimately makes those decisions. But it bears watching.
Yeah.
Approximately one half of the Smithsonian, the African American Museum's budget comes from federal funds. The remainder is privately raised. So if the federal government pulls those funds, which the president doesn't have authority to do, Congress has to do that, then you're talking about whether the museum can practically operate if it doesn't have the staffing, if it doesn't have the security, if it can't pay the rent, if the utilities can't be paid because the federal government has pulled the funds. So we all need to keep an eye on that and monitor and ensure that our representatives in Congress who actually appropriate the funds are ensuring that the funds remain available.
When we come forward, one other question about this for Leah before I push to one or two other things right quick here, and that it's this. Trump has said, and I quote, that the work of this museum, this African American History Museum, their work is, quote, engaging in widespread efforts to rewrite our nation's history. That's how he views the work of this black museum, that they are engaged in an effort to, a widespread effort to rewrite our nation's history. So that's just, ridiculous on its face. But I'm thinking about February, just a few months ago, when he did, in fact, have a Black History Month party celebration at the White House with the Negroes who he does like, Tiger Woods included. So there were a bunch of black folk that went to the White House for a Black History Month celebration just a few months ago. So there are some black people that he ain't got a problem with. But this museum he regards as engaging in a widespread effort to rewrite our nation's history. Here's my question. What are those Negroes saying? All those black folk that do have access to him, all of them that packed out the White House, Byron Donalds out of Florida, Tiger Woods, all the rest of them I can name. What are they saying to Donald Trump about him going after this black museum? We'll put that to Leah Daughtry when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to
scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Leah Daughtry, who was the CEO of the 2008 and 2016 Democratic National Convention. So, Leah, I ain't got a problem with black folk bending the knee if you've bending the knee to pray at a protest rally like we saw in the Civil Rights Movement. I ain't got a problem with black folk bending the knee if your name is Colin Kaepernick. But I do have a problem with black folk bending the knee to Donald Trump when he's going after a black museum. I'm thinking of what I called Negro Night. Remember the first night of the RNC in Milwaukee? And they brought out all these black people to speak on the first night. What are all these black people saying to Donald Trump in this moment as they see him moving in on black people, on DE&I, going after our museum? What are these black folk in the RNC saying these days, Leah?
Crickets.
Yeah.
Apparently, I haven't heard anything.
I haven't either.
And look, I'm all for folk choosing the political party that they think works for them. And if these folks think, for whatever reason, that being Republican works for them, that's fine. I got a bunch of friends whose families have been Republican since Lincoln. They never switched.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of them have switched now, but the question is, where are your principles and how are you justifying to yourself that you can support someone who has been so blatantly racist in his actions and taking actions that are detrimental to the communities where they all come from. So I would just like them to help me understand how they justifying it in their own heads to their own selves.
Yeah, I ain't gonna call them handkerchief heads, but I am gonna say it's troubling to see the silence. Their silence is profound. I'm talking about you, Byron Donald. I'm talking about you, Tiger Woods. I could do this all day long. These black Republicans, and I'm with Leah. You have the right.
You would have think Byron Donald learned his lesson when he didn't get a cabinet appointment that he was so busy shucking for.
That's right. I'm with Leah. You have the agency. Black people are not monolithic. You have the right to choose whatever party works for you. Even as James Carville invites us black progressives to get out of the Democratic Party, you have the right to choose whatever works for you. You do not have the right, as far as I'm concerned, to remain silent when you see the leader of your party going after black people and going after black museums and suggesting that they are engaged in efforts to rewrite the nation's history. That's nonsense. And I believe the hottest place in hell is reserved for people who, in moments like these, don't stand up and speak truth to power, and for that matter, to the powerless. Our remaining moments with Leah Daughtry when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley. 'Cause 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 '
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you get coverage options based on how much you want to pay for car insurance. And then you decide how to spend the rest of your money because you're in charge. And right now, you're going to pay for groceries. But you decide what groceries. Just keep in mind you're running out of dishwashing soap. But you decide if you're going to buy that soap. It's just those dishes won't clean themselves, will they? Remember, with Progressive's Name Your Price tool, we'll help you find coverage at a fair price. And then you're in charge. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2024, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-652-1714. That's 800-652-1714. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-652-1714 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Leah Daughtry, I close, I think, on this note. This wrongly deported Maryland man, Leah Daughtry, Mr. Alberto Garcia, deported to El Salvador a month ago in what is clearly an administrative error by the Trump administration. They don't want to back down on it. In fact, they invited the president of El Salvador to the White House and cozied up to him, and he publicly said, of course, I'm not going to return him. A sitting U.S. senator travels to El Salvador to try to meet with him, and El Salvador refuses that. What say you about what this portends for the future if Donald Trump can deport anybody he wants, including U.S. citizens to other countries that will refuse to return you home?
Two things I think we got to really pay attention to here, Tavis, and one is that they deported this man without due process, and in direct contradiction to what the Supreme Court and the federal judiciary system has said. They issued an order to the White House to bring this man home. And they are ignoring it. So we got to be concerned when the executive branch is ignoring and flouting the laws of this country to do whatever the hell they please. That's number one. Number two, notice when the man was in the Oval Office, the president of El Salvador, President Trump said to him, and the president confirmed, you ought to build some more prisons because President Trump is interested in sending American citizens to El Salvador to fulfill the terms of their incarceration. That means people who are our sons, our daughters, our family members who are presently imprisoned in the United States, we stand the chance of having them sent to another country. We will never see those people again. We've got to be concerned about this. We've got to support the organizations that are filing suits, that are challenging this head on, because we are about to be, if this stands, we will look up and find that we are in a dictatorship. We're only what the president of the United States, only what the executive branch wants is what matters. And the courts have no role. The Congress has no role in making the laws and enforcing the laws of this country. And that's dangerous for us as Black people.
It is dangerous and it is sobering. And I will leave it on that note. Just think about Leah Daughtry's final words in that regard. Leah Daughtry, it's always an honor to have you on this program. I always appreciate our conversations. Please give my regards to your precious father, the Right Reverend Dr. Herbert Daughtry, when you talk to him again. And I love you and I appreciate you. All the best to you, Leah.
Love you too. Take care.
Thank you for your time. It's going to be a great show. That's just the first hour, right? When we come forward, a conversation with No Leeway Rooks out of Brown about her provocative new book called Integrated, How American Schools Failed Black Children. And then we'll talk to Nikki Harris on the backside of hour two, her big booming voice. She's the star behind Madonna all these years, but she's a bad sister in her own right. And then Harry Lennox for the third hour. You're listening, and I'm glad about it, to Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Black New York Attorney General Letitia James is accused of mortgage fraud by the Federal Housing Finance Agency. The White House referred the case to the DOJ, but no charges have been filed yet. James previously won a civil fraud trial against President Trump. Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve, expects inflation to rise and economic growth to slow due to tariffs. Speaking in Chicago, he said the Fed might face a tough situation balancing inflation control and economic growth, requiring careful interest rate decisions. 10 guards at Mid-State Correctional Facility in Marcy, New York, are charged in the beating death of 22-year-old black inmate Messiah Nantwi. 2 face second-degree murder and 8 others face